so strongly at least. For the, we say for the preaching, but then, we say for the preaching, but even then, for the preaching it's certainly helpful in India because they understand what sannyas is, and the respect. And I'm not quite sure here in the West how what really. But for our internal preaching it may be good at least. And then for the external preaching, I'm not quite sure about anything in this society so screwed up. And then it's not good. It's not good if we enter into something and then we sort of say fall down. And that becomes like an anti-preaching, let's say. So therefore, it's better to stay on safe ground. But keep preaching. Of course, even if there is some discrepancy, well then we have this devotional service. It's very nice because there's no loss of denomination. Prabhupada said, well, can just get back on the path. So he was very kind to the sannyasis who had fallen down. He wanted them to come back. Even if they have taken this and they made a fool of them in that sense, still he wanted them to come back and continue with the devotional service in one capacity or another. So they wasn't eternally condemned. But of course, it's embarrassing. So therefore, brahmachari, grihastha life is a quite safe position, then you can enter into sannyas or be like a sannyas and maybe be happy with that. And again, then achieving things. That's the nature of the modern society. You have to progress, you have to achieve things, and then we achieve a position. But the point is that the position we should have is a position of full surrender to body, mind, and words to the service of the Lord. And that is regardless of what our external designation. And we say that is one thing, we try to dedicate body, mind, and words for the service of the Lord, but then we can take the what's that? We say, Avini Vartante Nira Harasa Dehina Rasubhadam Rasukya Shaparam Turistvani Vartate. We must achieve a higher taste. The taste of serving Krishna, of Yeah, 59. Embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, though the taste for sense object remains. So that we could say the immature devout, trying. There's still some taste, but we're trying to restrict itself. Though the taste for sense object remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste is fixed in consciousness. So the challenge is to find a higher taste. And to stay in that higher taste. To say, be connected to Krishna in our heart. Krishna consciousness. I say in our heart, and then from that also follows externally. Of course, we can externally enter into something in order to achieve something internally. And then achieve something internally, that way stay fixed externally. But at one point, if there's not a higher taste, we will fail. That's more or less predictable. Because you can't artificially stay in a position of renunciation. Then the other day was here, the Boga Chaga. That's like working hard, Chaga, renouncing in order to get something. And then in the weekend, enjoy the senses. Go to the disco, whatever people do. So it's not that we should not, renounce in order to get so we can enjoy position and prestige later on. No, that is not the point. We renounce because we don't want it. Because we don't want position and prestige and sense gratification. We want to serve Krishna. And then it's in Chaitanya Lila, there's Raghunath Das Goswami, here's one example. He's going from extreme opulence to, renunciation, but he really had a higher taste. Of course, you could say he had the benefit of experience what it means to be rich. And in one sense, that may be a benefit in the West, that here in this Western Europe and things, you say maybe that we had the experience of having, so to say, everything we needed. And thus we could take the Krishna consciousness. Whereas in India, people have not had the feeling that they got everything they needed or wanted, and thus they feel, I want it. Even though they have much more Krishna, well, it's closer to Krishna or Vanasham than we are. So that way. So that's our benefit, we have it. But so Raghunath Das Goswami, he had it all. Now he wanted to Krishna, and he really went for it, and he successfully really gave up because he really had a deep taste for chanting and serving the Lord. But then we have this other example, is Pundarik Vidyanidhi, who I really like. He's such a counter model for devotees, let's say. Being Gadara Pandit, the gentleman or aristocratic or noble Gadara Pandit was to, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent him to, coming to see an elevated Lord, and then he came to see what looked like a gross, a refined Sanskrit fire. It looked like that. So he's disappointed, but then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just said, just go there and quote this verse and see what happens. So then he could see, because really when he heard that verse from the Bhagavatam, he went into a state of ecstasy. So that's the real thing, okay? If you fall over when you hear a beautiful verse from the Bhagavatam and you just become unconscious, then you got somewhere. Because that shouldn't be artificially imitated. But it's like another example of devotee in devotional service, being in an opulent position, but being fixed in consciousness, seemingly dealing with all kind of material things, but as soon as there was Krishna Katha, then he immediately he was there. Okay, so either this way or that way, we should develop a love of Krishna and be fully attached to Krishna. Because either this way or that way, our body gets old and sick and dwindles and dies. And at that time, this way or that way, we should think of Krishna. And then, of course, I have this Shisha Upanishad, I like that. He says at the end there, he says to the devotee, he just says, what does he say? He says, now, my dear Lord, you please remember all I've done for you. So that is his mood. Let this temporary body be burned to ashes. Let the air of life be merged with the totality of air. Now, O my Lord, please remember all my sacrifices, and because you're the ultimate beneficiary, please remember all that I've done for you. So, that gives me hope also, because we can pray to the Lord. We're trying to serve the Lord throughout the life, throughout the decades, decades. And whether or not you stay, it looks very, but there is so much transpired in trying to serve the Lord. So now you're getting to the end where you may not be able to control your mind, or we think, you just think, but then you experience, when the body gets older, the mind gets older, and it may or may not be so easy to run the show as you thought. So then I can just okay, my dear Lord, please, whether I will remember Krishna, but let Krishna, you please remember me. That's my hope. Okay, that's a safe position. He will not forget me. Okay, I may forget him, but he will not forget me. Because this way, I will remember Krishna in a nice way. You, my dear Lord, you please remember me. But this act of thinking that way is an act of remembering Krishna. So that way, oh my Lord, please remember all my sacrifices, and because you're the ultimate beneficiary, please remember all that I've done for you. So therefore, while we can engage as nicely as possible in devotional service and develop our Krishna consciousness, and then later on we can take the benefit of that. Then later on, when we may or may not be able to, in the same way, be able to engage in devotional service, so we'll still be engaged but it may not in the same capacity or the same youthful enthusiasm. Okay? Any question or comment?
In ISKCON, do we have some ceremony, some rituals when devotees take vanaprastha?
Not as far as I know.
So just arrangement between husband and wife.
I don't know what it is. I haven't figured it out. Someone just comes to Vrindavan and decides he's going to put on saffron, or something like that. Someone decides, maybe discusses with someone who thinks it's a good idea. But I'm suspicious. I don't know why they have to put on saffron, because so many times they fall back into the old pattern again. So therefore, I say it's a safer position not to put on saffron, to stay in white, but still, like, I don't know what. Your wife run away from you, or whatever happened, you run away from your wife, whatever happened, but then, I don't know, then, well, just take a humble position. Because sannyasa certainly there's some. I was, when I was traveling in Himalayas, I traveled in Himalayas, with Talikasi, one nice town, and it's a nice town to take a little bit break in between the travels there, because when you have to go from one place to the other, you have to pass by with Talikasi, a little bit lower, a little bit warmer, and Ganges is flowing nicely there, the branch. So again, it wasn't this ashram staying, nice ashram. And then there came this couple. They were both. And first I thought, this is ridiculous. The man was dressed like a sannyas, and then he had a woman by his side who also was dressed in, not exactly like a sannyas, but dressed in saffron also. And I just thought this looked ridiculous. To me it looked ridiculous. But actually later on, I think I figured out what it was. It was a vanaprastha couple, okay. That I think it was. I mean, they took it that way. We take vanaprastha, we go on pilgrimage, and we dress. I dress as sannyas. Well, sannyas, he didn't carry a danda, so that was good, But he just simply put on saffron like a sannyas, and the wife also. And I thought, well, maybe not so bad, But to me it looks fun first. For quite some years, it really stuck in my mind. Okay, so that may be, different sampradayas have different traditions, and then also when you're Hindu, Vaishnava is Sri Sampradaya, Gaudiya Vaishnava, you're Balabhachara, Balabha Sampradaya, and you have Nimbarka Sampradaya, many sampradayas, and within the Hindu tradition you have so many small sampradayas going on, so in each sampradaya they may have different things, but I don't know that there is any specific. I understood it may more be like an inner state that you kind of withdraw. And with your wife, actually, I understood in one place that you actually do travel with your wife to visit the holy places. But you stop all sexual connection. That's vanaprastha. Okay.
I have a question about this Kshetra sannyas and like in our ISKCON we can see that at least quite a few have taken like, what is it called, Paricharya sannyas, and are traveling and preaching like that, fully dedicating in that way. Is there something that is recommended more than the other, like this?
No, it's the Kshetra sannyas, and that's a kind of a sannyas I understood is that you may or may not formally take that. It's not like you take sannyas and then you're going to be Kshetra sannyas, at least not in ISKCON. Kshetra sannyas I understood to be more like, and wasn't that also Gadadhar Pandit who he was going to stay there and serve, It wasn't said that he was a sannyas, but he was taking a vow of staying there. And then Lord Chaitanya was really disturbed when he wanted to break that. But still he broke it, and then Lord Chaitanya sent him back and we break him up and go back something. So that is, I take it to be more like, or a little bit like a vanaprastha in a way. No, I'm going to stay here and serve the Lord. And that to just stay in one place, that is like an austerity. You know, otherwise we like to move a little bit here, but you know, just confining to one place or one holy place and just stay there and serve the Lord. Then otherwise we have the 4 stages of sannyas. How is it? Bahudak, Kutichak, I don't know what comes first. Bahudak, Kutichak, Paribrak, and then Paramahamsa. And Prabhupada in his, because you understand, first you just go and live, what was it? You stay outside the village in a place and the family comes and bring you food, okay? And then the next stage is, well, why should I just accept food from my family? Then you start to go and beg madhukari from the different families in the village. And then you say, why should I stay in this village? And then you become a Padivadakacharya, and then you travel to different villages. You go from one village to another. Of course, preaching, we understand the Padivadakacharya is a preaching function. In either case, you can preach in either states. And then Prabhupada said, then when we're traveling, then a little bit older, then you can establish, then maybe establish an ashram where there's a successful preaching, and there's an ashram, and you just stay in that ashram with the Paramahamsa. So whether there any specific preference, it's not what I know. Usually we don't like to be, I'm Kutichak sannyas, Paudak sannyas, but it's still Pariprakacharya, Paramahamsa. So there is no special in that way. There is different stages. And then, but some devotees, I don't know, some devotees, I mean in ISKCON it's very difficult, and in the present time, maybe in the present time it doesn't make so much sense to make a Kshatriya sannyas. Wow. But I think that Indra Prabhu actually in a way did that. He kind of exemplified someone who really stayed there and served there and chanted there. And occasionally, for the sake of chanting the holy name, he went somewhere, or maybe, I don't know, to get the visa or something. He went outside, but maybe went to Mayapur, installation of the Panchatattva, or maybe went to the New Delhi if there was a Rath Yatra, a really good time when they should chant. Otherwise he stayed there. That's a good example. And of course, he didn't call himself Kshatriya sannyas. He was just happy, satisfied, or not satisfied, or satisfied or not satisfied. Well, satisfied or not satisfied with the devotees and the standards, but he having his standard, he was satisfied in himself, staying there and chanting here. So that was a good example. Any other question or comment? Good. Okay, then we end there. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Krishna, 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 Krishna,